Hey guys, this video is going to be the follow-up to what we saw previously where we were talking about integrating by parts, and in that video what we did is we established where the formula for integrating by parts came from, and then we did a few examples of some indefinite integration. And what we're going to be looking at in this part of the video is we're going to be looking at some definite integrals instead. Now, definite integrals, of course, we have to evaluate it from one term to another, but we're going to start it off pretty much the same way that we've done already. So the equation, in case you need it, from what we saw in the first video, is the integration of u times v prime dx is equal to u times v minus the integral of u prime times v dx. Now the u and the v prime come from the original integrand. All right, so in this case, I'm going to call the u term my x term. And so we'll just change these to be u prime and v prime. So if the u term is going to be an x, then the v prime term has to be e to the negative x. Why don't you want to write properly? Negative x dx. All my x's seem to want to look like v's. So to finish filling in the rest of this stuff here, we're going to kind of jump down here. We'll take the derivative of x, which would just be 1 dx, to get u prime. And then I'm going to go take the antiderivative of e to the negative x to get v. So it'll be negative e to the negative x. So now that we have all the parts that we need, let's go ahead and start plugging them in to our problem and see what we wind up getting. Now I encourage you to please go ahead and pause the video at this point and work through the problem and see if you can get a solution on your own, and then play the rest of the video to see what I got. But let's go ahead and start plugging some things in. Well, let's actually write the whole problem first. So we have the integral of 0 to 4 x times e to the negative x dx to be equal to, so now we start substituting, u times v. We'll multiply these two bits together, so that'll be negative x times e to the negative x minus the integral. And so the integral is going to be u prime times v, so that's these two bits multiplied together, so it'll be negative e to the negative x dx. And now let's see what we can simplify. Now, in the problem, we'll get to that. In the problem itself, we don't really need to keep writing the stuff on the left and the stuff immediately to the right of the equal sign, the u times v part. There's really nothing that's going to simplify there because these are not like terms. But what I can do on the integral is I do have this negative 1 here that I could pull out as a constant. And so that would give me negative times negative. That would make it a positive here. And then we have the integral of e to the negative x dx. And we've simplified everything as much as we can, so now we take the antiderivative of the integral. So I have negative x times e to the negative x. And that'll be, and we've already seen the integral, the antiderivative of e to the x here, so that's just going to be negative e, well, that's terrible, negative e to the negative x power. And if we were doing indefinite integrals like we saw in the first video, we would say plus c and we would be done. But we're not doing indefinite integrals, we're doing definite integrals. So now I need to evaluate this expression from 4 to 0, or 0 to 4, however you want to think of it. So now let's go ahead and do some substitution. Let's kind of take this color, whatever it is. Let's substitute the 4 with this kind of dark blue color. So this will be negative 4 times e to to the negative 4 minus e to the negative 4. And then we're going to subtract something else, and we want to keep this in parentheses when we do. So let's substitute the 0. Oh, those can't really see much of a difference there. Let's try green. So let's substitute the 0 now. So the negative on the 0 doesn't matter, so that's just 0 times e to the 0 power minus e to the 0 power. Okay, and let's see what we wind up getting. So let's go back to this. Well, these two here, 1 e to the negative 4 and negative 4 e to the negative 4, those are like terms. Those will combine to give me negative 5 e to the negative 4. Here, anything multiplied by 0 becomes 0, and anything to the 0 power becomes a 1. So that'll be minus 0 minus 1. So distributing the negative to get rid of the parentheses, we get negative 5 times e to the negative 4, negative 4. So minus the negative 1 would be plus 1. And if you don't like that, we can stop there, but if you don't like it, because of the negative exponent, we can say negative 5 over e to the positive 4th power plus 1. And there is our first example of a definite integral with integrating by parts. So moving on to the next one here, we see, pretty similar concept to what we saw in the last example. We're evaluating this x times natural log of x, and let's make sure we put that in parentheses. And again, if you feel so inclined, go ahead and pause the video and try working this problem out, and then play it, see what you get. So presuming that you may have done that, let's go ahead and start seeing what we get here. I'm not going to write the equation down again because we've seen that enough already. So the u term in this case, I'm going to make the natural log of x, and we'll just say this is u prime and v prime. So if natural log of x is u, then x cubed times dx must be v prime. And so now we will kind of jump down here. We'll take the derivative of that. Natural log of x will be the derivative 1 over x dx. And the antiderivative of x cubed will be 1/4. Oop, that's not very nice looking 4. 1/4 x. That's not very nice looking x. X. Why do all of my x's want to look like y's or v's? To the 4th. There we go. So substituting, well, actually, let's go ahead and start writing the equation out first. So we have, in this case, the definite integral of 1 to e x cubed times the natural log of x dx. So here we're going to say is equal to u times v. So u times v, multiply these two things together. And that will give me 1/4 x to the 4th times the natural log of x minus the integral of u prime times v will give me those two multiplied together. Why does it keep wanting to show my eraser? I don't know. Let's get rid of some of this dots here from my hand. Oop. So now we're going to say u prime times v. So we're going to say 1/4 x to the 4th times 1 over x dx. Okay, and let's simplify whatever we can. So here we have 1/4 x to the 4th times the natural log of x. And here, the 1 over x and the x to the 4th will simplify to be 1/4 x cubed dx. And now we will take a look at doing the integration of the expression that we have in our problem. So 1/4 x to the 4th times natural log of x. When I take the antiderivative of 1/4 x to the 3rd power, that is going to give me negative 1 over 16 x to the 4th. And again, this is where we would stop if we were doing indefinite integration, and that's a very ugly to the 4th power. And we could just say, you know, plus c for a constant. But we're not. We're doing a definite integration. Oh. So we have to evaluate it from 1 to e. So let's see what we get. So let's do this black color here for e. So I'm going to get, there's my x didn't write very well there, 1/4 times e to the 4th times the natural log of e minus 1/16 e to the 4th. And now we're going to subtract when we substitute the 1. So let's substitute the 1 kind of in blue. So that'll just be 1/4 times 1 to the 4th times the natural log of 1 minus 1/16 times 1 to the 4th for that. There we go. So now we've done all of the substitution that we can. I need the bracket to start off there. There we go. And now let's see what we can see. Well, and let's go back to the red color that I was using before. Well, natural log of e, this is a 1. So 1 times e to the 4th over 4 is just going to be e to the 4th over 4. And the next part, 1/16 times e to the 4th, well, that's just going to be minus e to the 4th over 16. So 1 to the 4th times 1 to the, or 1/4 times 1 to the 4th is just 1/4. Natural log of 1 in this case is just natural log of 1. We're not going to try and evaluate that for anything. Times natural log of 1. And 1/16 times 1 to the 4th would just be minus 1/16. So distribute the negative into the parentheses, and we can get rid of the parentheses. And on the right side here, these two bits, I'm sorry, on the left side here, these two are like terms. We can combine those even though they have they don't have a common denominator. That will work out to be 3/16 times e to the 4th. And here, when we distribute natural log of 1 times 1/4 minus 1/16, that will work out to, when we distribute the negative, that'll be a positive 1/16. 16th. And in this case, we really can't go any further than that unless we want to try to, actually get a decimal number with E. So we're going to go ahead and stop there. And so we're going to go ahead and pause this video here and pick it up with the next video for some of the rest of your notes. But if you have any questions about anything that you've seen here, by all means, give me a shout on the Google Classroom, and I'll be happy to help you out with it. Until then, guys, take care, be well.